I'm here today with Dr. Lee Weinstein, and he's a pediatric dentist, and he also has his own consulting practice where he helps dentists improve their customer experience and makes a much better customer experience that leads to their patients wanting to come back for more visits in the future and increasing the lifetime value of their patients. So thanks for joining me today, Dr. Weinstein.
It's a pleasure, Lee. My parents have to call me doctor, but nobody else does.
Okay, Lee, that's good. Maybe you could just take a moment to tell me, what you're up to these days.
Well, after the pandemic has gone through, things have changed a little bit in everybody's mind in dentistry. So I've been posting a fair amount of stuff on the many websites and pediatric dental forums that I've been affiliated with for the last few years. I am also working more with a group that serves to work with the autistic population, special needs population, or as they say in Dubai, people of determination, which I think is a much better word. But I've been doing some work and consulting. I'm on the advisory board. They're based out of Florida, where they go in and they help offices become certified autism centers. Down here, I'm in Arizona. We have quite a few places that have become certified autism centers. The city of Mesa, which is right outside of Phoenix, has a designation of a certified autism city, which means that people are geared better for handling people with special needs and determination, which is just a fascinating topic. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff, doing more research. I helped edit a book, which I'll genuinely plug. If you can see it, it's sort of upside down here, but it is a primer by Quintessence. It's a dentistry for the general practitioner,
Yeah.
which a friend of mine in Germany wrote, but I helped edit the book. And it really is a primer for general practitioners in an easy to understand format to tell you what you should do, how you should do it, and maybe how you can create a better patient experience. Because that's the bottom line. It's the patient experience. There's so many dentists out today that are, every 15 feet is another dentist. If you go to Mexico, where I've done some stuff with and research with dental tourism, there's a town outside of Yuma, Arizona, which is called Algodones. Algodones has 600 dentists in 1 square mile. That shoot me now. It's insane. Yeah, shoot me now, because how am I going to compete with that in that town? But there are ways to do that, and it's not that complicated. And unfortunately, we don't get many of that taught to us in the dental schools. And if we did, we weren't paying much attention to it. We were so preoccupied with getting out of school. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do.
So that book right there, it's Dentistry for Kids, and it's geared towards teaching pediatric dentists how to improve the patient experience for the children and their parents, or how does that work?
Well, it's a combination. It's really geared for, one, I believe, students, dental students. Secondarily, it's geared for general practitioners who are afraid of working on kids and don't realize that with every child, as I've spoken to before, every child comes with 2 sets of parents. A mom and dad, possibly a stepmom, a stepdad, step-grandparents, and whatever. And from a dollar and cent standpoint, parents usually have big ticket items compared to a child. So if you can treat the child, and the children are the test centers, they're the test tubes for the office. If the child walks out surviving and smiling, then they figure that the doctor is pretty good. So this book is geared for the general practitioner who says, "Hey, I'd like to do some more more children. I'd like to be able to work a little bit better and get more informed, because I didn't get that much training in school." And it's a great primer. It's also a good primer for a pediatric dentist to use as a reference guide for the pictures that the book has. Just like another book by Ted Kroll, which is called The Totally Gross and Disgusting Dental Book, which is sold in the United States and a few other places. And it's a picture book, which works phenomenally well. Tell, show, and do. If I tell you, I show you, and then we do it, it works. If I tell you and I show you a picture that means more to me than my 17 words that I've just spoken, it sinks in. So that's a better way to communicate sometimes. So this book is just another tool that we have that says, hey, why not use it when you need it? But
that's
today's
great.
world, people going anywhere they want to go and talking to anybody that they want to talk to, if you don't communicate well, you're not going to get your message across, and then your patients are going to go someplace else.
Okay, that's fair enough. So based on what you were saying, it sounds like if the kids are really happy, the parents will come back for another treatment. Now, one of the issues that I've seen with some dentists is the fear of customer acquisition, paying too much to acquire a customer, with the notion that perhaps they won't recoup that cost, or they won't be able to get enough customer lifetime value to make it profitable. I personally, I don't believe that, because my method with marketing is doing a good job once you have a customer, to continue to show your practice, show all the success stories, continue to build that relationship to get people to want to come back for more treatment in the future. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I know that people do pay for those types of marketing programs. And in the pediatric world, it's a little bit different than the general practice world. The average cost, if we're just looking at a business standpoint, the average cost of a child is, a couple $100 a year if they don't have any decay. The average cost for getting a new patient, or the profitability of a new patient in pediatrics, is a couple $100 a year. The profitability perhaps in an adult with 1 crown, 2 crowns, implants, cosmetics, Botox, liposuction, bleaching, all kinds of stuff, is substantially greater. So what will I pay to get a patient is dependent on what that patient is. But regardless of the fact, I want to get a patient in the office. And I could pay for that patient, but if I don't produce a quality experience, I'm throwing money out the door.
Correct.
You can pay $5, $100, or $200, or whatever you think is appropriate for you in your practice, but it's up to the doctor, it's up to the staff, it's up to the whole experience of getting that practice and making me feel that I'm wanted in that practice, and making me feel that I'm valuable. I want to go to a place like Cheers, like the television show, where people know my name.
They know you are.
And everybody understands that. And if you're old enough, you watch the show. If you didn't understand it, then you should go look it up. Because I want to go to an office that I walk in and I am comfortable. And if I am comfortable in that office, from the time I walk through the front door to the time that I leave, I'm happy to pay. I'm happy that I had a great experience. I enjoy going, and I don't sit there and say, oh, no, this is not for me. So, if I don't go that way, it doesn't make a difference what I pay for a patient, or what my marketing, dollars go to. You have to be careful with where your marketing dollars go to. You have to understand that they can only go so far. Again, you can provide a patient for me. You can give me 50 patients. I may only keep 2 of them. If I'm keeping 2, that's my problem. It's not your problem that you gave me those patients.
Correct.
My problem to keep them. And if I don't train my staff, and I'm not genuine, and I'm not, fun and whatever it is, whether I'm a general practitioner or not, it's not happening. If my office isn't clean, if it doesn't look nice, you don't have to spend millions of dollars to have that. You can do an office that looks like IKEA, that's pretty inexpensive and neat and clean, and serve me a cup of coffee and have some flowers on the table, and I feel comfortable. I want that warm, fuzzy feeling when I go. I got to go in anyway. So if you're not going to give it to me, someone else will give it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking about this before when we were on the call, and you were giving all these great suggestions on how a practice can create that amazing customer experience. And I was talking about that a second ago with the marketing. Once you have a customer, I mean, it's always cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. And a good dentist that can consult and diagnose and not have like that whole pushy salesy approach, but really more like a trusted advisor that brings them down this path and builds that trust and recommends what services that they need. But then after the patient leaves the practice, they do a good job of continuing to market to them, being omnipresent, showing up in multiple places. But what you were talking about a second ago with the whole customer experience, if they don't have a good customer experience, all the marketing in the world's not going to save you. Maybe you could talk a little bit. I mean, you talked about a couple things with me One of them was with branding and, attracting the right type of customers for your practice based on your branding. The other part, which I really loved, was you were talking about just little things that go a long way. Like, well, you were alluding to the remembering their name and details about them, but that extra mile that you were talking about before, like with the 20 types of coffee that you can lay out for them. Maybe you could give a couple suggestions for dental practices that would like to attract a better quality of customer, maybe work with their internal staff to deliver a better experience, and like how you were able to do that with your practice and how you do that today with your consulting clients.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I'll get into that. It's interesting. My daughter went to the University of Arizona, and her major was consumer sciences and retailing. And basically in English, it's how to get people to buy things they don't want to buy. And it sounds silly, but there's a method to the madness. There's a method in the madness of the way people go into a store, and they go to the grocery store, and the aisles are set up one way, and the dairy's in the back or whatever, or you go to a store like Nordstrom's and it's set up where the shoe department does really well, and that's where you first get into it. There are methods of madness that people need to pay attention to, and unfortunately we don't get that stuff in school. I had a whole conversation with my brother. My sister's a corporate coach. We'll go back to that. She's a corporate coach. One of her major clients is Underwriters Laboratories. They're all over the UL that everybody rips off and cuts off that little tag. She lectures on group dynamics in major cities to their upper level management. And it's team building. It's all team building. We had a conversation the other day with my brother, who is an attorney in Philadelphia, and he's saying because of the pandemic, his business is down about 30%. So we said, okay, that's interesting. What are we going to do to help garner new business? So in basic English, we came up with the idea. It's nothing brilliant, that said, why don't you do a video like we're doing now of note to my patients or your patients and say, hey, here we are. We're here for you. We are ready for you. We're willing and able. We want to show you what we've done to the office to make sure that we've protected you from COVID, or on a regular basis. Hey, we're just touching base. No one does a little video email. Most people will send out a dry letter that says, hey, we're sorry the office is closed. We're doing everything we can, etc. If there's no facial contact, if there's no contact on an email, you lose it. I think that that's the not that it's a new technique and not that it's a brilliant idea. It's an idea that needs to be taken care of, and it gives you more personal touch. I could say, hey, Jared, or I could say, hey, how's everybody doing? Tell a joke, a little levity or whatever, and bring them closer and say, hey, we're all in this together. So why don't we, tell me what's happening. Tell me that, this is what you've done in the last few months. You can take a cup of coffee, like we said before, and you could put a coffee machine, and most offices now get that. They get the fact that they put a cup of coffee in for a client or a customer or a patient. And now it's interesting. Most people don't take it to the next level. Instead, they'll go to Costco and they'll buy Newman's Own, and they'll buy a big case of Newman's Own, and it's the same coffee. Well, for the same price, you can go buy online at Keurig or any place else that you choose to go to. You can go online and buy 20 different types of coffee. You get chocolate fudge and cold brew and different teas. All of a sudden, that coffee, which was nice, turns into an experience. It's like, oh, wow. I have parents that come to the office that just say they don't care about their kids and whether they have cavities, but they want to see the new coffee that we have in the office, which sounds so silly. And it's just a tiny little thing, but it's all those little things that add up. Again, a letter saying we're paying attention to COVID and we're sorry. It's fine. I don't really care. Rip up the letter. Sorry. I haven't heard from my dentist, my physician, my attorney, my accountant, except the first letter at the beginning in March saying COVID is horrible and we'll see you soon. How about a personalized little note like we're talking about now and say, hey, Jared, how are you? Or a phone call or whatever. I'm here for your emergencies. Here's my phone number. This is what's happening. We're going to figure it out together. That's much more personalized. 20 coffees is much more personalized. Some flowers, $3.99 a bunch that sits in the office is more personalized. Having computers available or an iPad for someone to play on is much more personal. Knowing who's coming in the office, answering the phone. Answering the phone. When I make a phone call to call an office, or I make the decision, I don't have any hair because I have 3 girls and that's what happens. But if I make a phone call at 12 o'clock, that was the time that I chose to make that phone call to that particular barber or wherever I'm going. If I don't answer the phone, I leave a message or I hang up. That's a lost opportunity. So if there is somebody not answering the phone all the time while that office is open, you're missing opportunities. And you should know, you can put them on hold for a second, pull up their notes, take that little chart that you have or a computer and know who Harry is or Susie is or Mark or Donna. It doesn't make a difference. If you don't know them, why are they going to come to you? Your object is to make sure that they are aware of who you are, what you're about. And when I have my introduction and I come down and I sit out, my office has sofas in there as opposed to chairs. I think it's impersonal to have a chair. That's just me. But I'll sit down and have a conversation with you, Jared, and I know you're here for your teeth because that's what I do. We'll get to your teeth, but why don't you tell me a little bit about you and where you're from, what do you do? We had our conversation, and as I said to you before, that there's 1 degree of separation. What are the odds that I never met you before and now we have a common name and friend possibly that's there? You feel more comfortable to start out with. Say, oh my God, he could possibly know that person. You have that. What are the odds that I would know that the person that you would know?
Yeah.
Slim and none. But if enough a conversation, I'll get to your teeth. Okay, you have a good smile, you laugh. I can see it's there. Then I can say, hey, why are you here? And now let's work on it. If you don't have that confidence and that personality to do that, that's fine. Then get somebody in your office that does. It might be your office manager. It might be your assistant. You might assign one of your assistants who has a dynamic personality to be the person that does a follow-up phone call and says, hey, this is Margaret. I met you yesterday. Glad you're part of the team in the office or whatever it is. I used to send out referral little notes. These are all little things that you can do, but I would send out a thank you note to Mrs. Jones for referring Susie to the office. And I would put a scratch lottery ticket on and write down, your confidence in us is worth $1 million. Good luck. And then I, with my humor, would put down in parentheses, well, if you win anything, we split 50-50 and then put it around. But people like getting some of that stuff. They like being recognized for the fact that they are part of a team. So there are hundreds of things that you could do to attract new business. So you, as a marketing person, can get those 50 patients to me via phone, but if I don't follow through with that, I just lost 49 patients. Whether I pay you or I don't pay you, it doesn't. I'm not doing a service to anybody, and we only have a limited amount of dollars that we're going to spend. And most dentists are cheap, and we only go so far with what we have. And we're not going in pediatrics. We're not going for big ticket items, but we need to create relationships with everybody. And I said to you the other day, every general practitioner should be knocking down the doors of a pediatric dentist and saying, what can I do for you, pediatric dentist, to make a relationship for us? Because pediatric, get asked every day, can I come here? I say, well, no, you just missed the age rate, the age cutoff. But, I can send you to somebody who is just as good as I am and only does adults. And I want to pair you up and I want to match you up with one of the following 3 or 4 people, and then you go make your decision. So we cross-refer, but I, as a pediatric dentist, it's diametrically opposed to what people think today. Shouldn't be banging down the door and saying, hey, GP, send me all your kids. It should be the other way around. But either way, when I refer a patient to a general practitioner, I want to make sure that I know what that general practitioner is, what they're about, how they practice, and are they a good fit for you, Jared, or are they a good fit for your wife? Because you may go someplace different than your wife, or I may send you someplace different. Just because you go to Dr. X doesn't mean it's good for your wife, or an orthodontist for your kids. Some orthodontists do better with adults. Their offices are geared for more adults, and some are more juvenile and an office like Arctic Smiles, which will have the North Pole set up. A 22-year-old person doesn't want to go into that office, so I'm not going to send you there. It doesn't work. So you've got to, it's not playing the game. You got to understand what your market is and understand how you reach and how you connect. Does that make sense?
It does. That's really great. I love what you were saying. I want to backtrack a little bit. about what you were saying about building up a good staff and figuring out what people's strong suits are. I can't tell you how many times I've called up a doctor or a dentist, and you get this crabby person on the phone that's like, "Hello, what do you want?" You
Exactly.
know, you're
That's the person I want representing me. Yeah.
exactly. And every time I get that, it makes me wonder, like, how does that happen? Like, is there a disconnect between, the back office and the front office? Are they not looking at these things? I mean, when you get a new customer that calls you, your first impression should be what you were saying, delivering that great customer experience. Hello, how are you? What can we do? Making them feel welcome. But like, how many times have I called up a doctor and I'm just like, okay, don't kill me, and
Sorry. And you're begging for an appointment.
yeah,
It's a totally different situation.
exactly.
If I had to have brain surgery, I will limit myself. I'm going to the best. And if the guy doesn't have a personality, I understand that. I can deal with that as long as someone else substitutes that his bad bedside manner for a good bedside manner. How do you do that? The answer is yes, you need to do that. And it starts with me as the owner of a business. If I don't translate that to you, then I haven't done my job right. Now, I also may not have done my job right by picking the right person to answer the phone. She may be very good at what she does with paperwork and accounting and all that stuff, but she may not be appropriate for the phone. And that's, you have to size up what your population is, your staff, and figure out where they fit. One of my assistants had a special needs child. He was autistic, and Carter, she was great. Carter was a tough kid, but whenever we had a special needs parent call, we put them on hold. Right, my front desk was very pleasant, but we said, let me put you in contact with. I'm going to switch you over to Desiree, and Desiree is our special needs coordinator, and she's phenomenal with parents and children who have special needs. And she would get on the phone, and she could empathize with them, and she understood exactly what they were thinking and what they wanted. And then the two of them would sit down and work together to come up with a solution for that particular patient. And she was their direct point of contact. I'm calling up to make an appointment for little Billy or Carter or whatever it is, would bypass everybody. She said, hi, can I talk to Desiree? I need to make an appointment for Billy. We all knew who that was, or who Carter was, or whatever. And she would get on the phone, and she would make the appointments. She may have to get back to them in a little bit, but they all knew that because they had such a good relationship with her. She understood how in English, how to play the game from respite care and how to use the state's benefits. She knew when a kid should come in the morning, when a kid should come in the afternoon, and parents trusted her. They trusted me, but they also trusted her. And she was much more trustworthy than me. I'm saying one thing, but she lives it. So she understood that. So if you don't pick your team members to do certain tasks, that falls on the owner of the practice. So you're right. The crappy person answering on the phone is just not the right person.
No.
Turned me off already. So again, you're going to send me 50 patients. But if I have a crab apple, she just turned away 49 of them.
That's a problem. I mean, for me as a marketer, that's a huge problem for me, because I wouldn't want to work with a practice that keeps saying, your leads are horrible.
That's right, because it's your fault. It all comes down to you. You provide that information, and they never realize or never take, any responsibility. A parent doesn't necessarily take responsibility for the 10-year-old kid that broke the glass or threw a stone at somebody or was a bully or whatever it is. Well, the kid had to learn that from someplace, and the parent needs to take responsibility.
Yeah.
You, owner, have to take responsibility for the way your practice runs. Now, you can work together with someone like me or another consultant or somebody else that gets it and say, okay, well, it's a package. It's not just one. It's not just you. It's me. It's for other people that do that. Some of it doesn't cost a lot of money, and some of it is, if you look, is free. We're having a conversation here. You might pick out one little tip on this little podcast and talk that's worth every penny. Every lecture I go to, if I come up with one idea from a business standpoint, I'm way ahead of the game. It was worth a couple $100 to go. That's
Excellent.
what it is. I want to sit down and come up with a solution. I've worked in offices before. I started out like everybody else starts out with, and I was picking and choosing what I would take for each one of those offices, and each one was a learning experience, and added it to myself. And I continue to learn. Again, I just got off the phone with a guy. I'm about to lecture in the Sudan, and he was fascinated by even the little things that we were talking about. There's 3 pediatric dentists in the city of Khartoum. In all of Sudan, there's only 20, I think, in a huge country. It's like the United States. There's 20 pediatric dentists. What do we need to do to help treat those children or get patients to the office and do whatever? Not only were we educating them, and our lecture will be on education and dental stuff, but it's also on marketing and creating an experience. And it doesn't make a difference where you are. Every part of the country is different. Everybody has a different, you might be in down south, and sweet tea might be your specialty or whatever it is, and that's what you do. Philadelphia's cheesesteaks and soft pretzels. If I have cheesesteaks, soft pretzels, and tasty cakes where I grew up, then people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. I had it even here. We would have tasty cakes in Phoenix that I would bring in and put in the freezer for when someone came in from Philadelphia, and they would sit there and go, oh, I said, come to the back. Or we'd have special foods. We knew that someone was on a diet. We'd have that food there for them. It's if you know your customer, it doesn't make a difference what you are. Whether it's a bookstore, a doctor's office, a barber shop, it's all the same. That's my opinion. Makes sense?
That's great. So I wanted to end our interview today with one final thing about your practice. So, I mean, as my business agency Fix, our whole premise is about working with a dental practice that wants to be able to take on a consistent flow of customers, but they basically already have all their systems and their processes in place. They're already doing a good job. They already have good reviews. They want to be able to take on a consistent flow of new customers every week. But, potentially in the future, how can I work with these businesses that need somebody like you? I think really the question that I'd like you to finish up is to kind of explain, your consultancy, who it is that you work with, and specifically like what are the services, or what's the package that you would deliver for your ideal customer, or who is your ideal customer?
Well, thanks for asking, but the bottom line is there's always room for improvement. So even though you have your projects and you have your packages set up and your systems are all set up, that system may be a system that has been used for 30 years because the person that you bought the practice from had always done that. That doesn't mean it's a bad system, doesn't mean it's a good system. There's always room to improve a system. So what I sometimes do, and what I have a stable of people that I use. If you have a big practice, there's a guy that I use that talks about dental fraud and having your office as your front desk as a partner. You got to make sure that you plan accordingly. You may have a system in place that has nothing to do with marketing and whatever, but I know what I do. And I also have a team that does other things. I have an accountant that only does dental offices, a financial advisor that does dental offices. I can make my comments and suggestions, but I send them to an expert. I would send them to you for your marketing skills. You're going to deliver the patient. And once you deliver the patient, my job is to sit there, and I'll sit in the office. I'll be a patient. They may not even know that I'm a patient. And we can have team building. I'll draw upon my sister, not because she's my sister, but because she does an unbelievable team building experience for groups. And you have to package it all together. Your area of expertise. You are not going to overstep your bounds and talk about necessarily what financial ramifications of buying your building or renting your building or doing that, because that's not what you do. But you're going to have a team that would go over that with you, and you're going to say, hey, I want you to use Jared because he's going to generate new patients. I want you to use X because Jack is a great accountant and he understands the ins and outs of accountancy. If you want that capability, if you want to go, everything's like sort of a la carte. You pick and choose. I've worked with DSOs that say, please come in and evaluate these pedo practices to bring into our DSO, and I'll sit there and I'll visit the practice and I'll look at their systems and I'll listen to the way they answer the phone. Do they have an intake sheet for new patients? Do they have the coffee machine? They're all those stupid little things that nobody else does. That's all.
Are they buying Newman's coffee?
Yeah, they buy Newman's coffee. Well, they got a discount. They have the Costco card. Are they doing is anybody doing a video, email to their, especially now to their customers? Is anybody now doing, what are you posting on your Facebook? Just because business is down and you're not working and now you're getting back into business, what are you posting? I'm posting stuff. I don't care whether I posted yesterday a potato, because it's Father's Day, potato salad recipe and a lemonade with or without spirits. But some of the healthy stuff. What are you doing to get your patients in there?
Actually, based on that point, I think now is a really amazing time for people to get their house in order. Like all these things that they've been putting off for so long, how to figure out what they should be posting on their social media. How can they be using these customer success stories to tell, like a great story about their practice? Like now's the time to do that, to get everything ready and then, come out so strong when this thing is over, right?
Oh, it's insane. Why this is my iPhone. Why aren't I taking my iPhone and now videoing you or my staff member and saying, hey, Jared, what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks? Still all in. You're part of my family. I want to know. I just saw somebody on the street a couple of days ago, and they were asking about everybody in the office. Well, how's Pat? How's Desiree? What's new? How are the kids? They are part of us.
Part of the family. Yeah, I love that. Part of the family. The customers are part of the family as well. Make them part of the family, right?
They should be. They should
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, not what you do. We're all trained to do the filling. A class 1 filling is a class 1 filling is a class 1 filling. Yes, obviously some people do it better than others, but we all stand within the same competency level. But we don't all stand in the same competency level when it comes to making me feel comfortable.
And delivering a great customer experience.
That's all. I mean, it's customer.
Absolutely.
They can go anywhere they want to go. There are issues with brand loyalty and branding yourself and doing that. That's a whole different topic altogether. But yeah, they can go anywhere they want to go. Why should they come to you? Why should they come back? Because
I think it starts with everything you've been saying, delivering that great customer experience. And then after the great customer experience, then you have to think about your marketing as well. How can you bring them back? Where do you do the email? Do you do social media? Do you do discounts? Do you do promotions? Like, what do you have reminders on treatment that they should be looking into? Maybe they forgot to do that. Like staying in front of them.
Hey, how about sending somebody a set of some flowers when someone had a baby?
That's the personalization that you're talking about there.
Yeah, or the little scratch lottery ticket, which is a benign, silly little thing, but people get so much out of that. I think I told you before, my office was decorated in a travel theme. And we have 350 tubes of toothpaste from all over the world that I had patients that brought me tubes. I've collected tubes. I've done all kinds of stuff from all over. And they all felt part of the team. They bring us hotel keys. I still get people said, people from back east will say, can I send you 20 hotel keys? Sure. Because they actually believe, and it's true, that they are part of the family and part of the office. And we share in happiness and we share in sadness. And we share, experiences and come have a cup of coffee. How many people in our office will say, we're driving by, want to come and have a cup of coffee?
I love it. Yeah. I love the scratch lottery idea too, by the way. I mean, that's sounds like something that would make a great contest, or I don't know if you've ever had any experience with doing online contests, but that's another great thing that dental practices could be doing with their existing customers, like give away something for free, just for getting engagement for a social media post,
Right. you know what? It is, and it was fun. Again, I wrote, your confidence in us is worth $1 million. Good luck. And we rotated because they always change lottery tickets, scratch offs. And it's just fun. You know, it costs $1.50 to do that. If you send me a patient, it's worth $1.50 to thank you regardless. And that people would come back. Some people won. I don't think anyone ever won more than $500, but that's just the luck of the draw. It is what it is. It's the actual scratching off and the anticipation. Will I have a winner? I didn't. Okay, but your confidence in us was worth all that, and we appreciate the fact that you actually took it to the next level.
Yeah, sure. And it's a way to stay in front of your patients, and it's a fun way to get some engagement. And that's why I love these online contests, because it's a great way to get some engagement, and you're giving something away to your patients. And
yeah,
you know,
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And what general practitioners should do and could do is take a page out of the pediatric dental marketing tool chest and implement it in their offices. They don't do that. You know, they have magazines, general practice. I think we won the Civil War recently. That's how far back, or World War II. We probably won World War II was the last one I have. They have Look magazine and Life magazine. They haven't made those magazines in years. National Geographics are sitting in the magazine, or a People magazine with OJ on the cover. Did he do it? You know, you gotta take a page from the playbook of a pediatric dentist and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Are you putting on a movie? Are you putting on television? Are you putting on the cooking channel? It doesn't make a difference. Why? It doesn't have to be boring. It's supposed to be fun.
Imagine if you gave away free toys to kids, you know, as part of a contest. Like, you know, once a week you gave away a free toy. Kid gets a couple $100 Lego set. I'm pretty sure the parents are going to want to bring the kid back, you know. And
well, we did that all the time. We had a monthly contest. It was guess the number of whatever, and it was an appropriate contest. It was back to school. We might have put in erasers and pencils. And this is not an unusual concept in the pediatric world.
Yeah.
Why can't you do that in a general practice?
Imagine filming that whole spectacle, bringing out the $200 Lego set to the kids, and you know, like the whole office goes crazy, confetti everywhere, and you use that for your social media post. I mean, to bring in new customers. That's amazing content, you know.
Yeah,
and it costs you a couple $100.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to cost you a couple of. Parents are happy to win. The kids are happy to win whatever, and it was, you know, wasn't the fact that the prize was the ultimate goal. Is that they won something. You know, you could give away a turkey for Thanksgiving to
give them a shirt, give them a T-shirt.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you you have never gone to a general dentist office that has had a contest, I assume. And even if you could win a pair of tickets to you're from New York to see the Yankees. People make mistakes, but you can go to the Yankees or the Mets. You know, win 2 tickets to the Mets. This is like exciting. This is fun. Why not?
Talk about customer loyalty. You're going to go to that dental practice probably for the rest of your life. You know, it's like little thing like that.
By the rest, I've got to make you feel comfortable, but that's just another assist. You know, make me feel comfortable like you take your kids. You love going to the pediatric dentist with your kid because it's a fun environment, because they have all kinds of neat stuff and whatever. Then you go back to the general dentist that stayed. It's a pretty office. They're very nice. There's nothing, maybe they have a cup of coffee, maybe they don't, but, and you go and they're very pleasant, and you walk away and you're happy. You're not you're not a promoter. You are a happy customer, but I want a promoter, you know, and if it's a game ticket, maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a silly idea and it doesn't. Maybe giving everybody an iPad to play with when they get in there, and you don't know how many parents will grab the iPad and the pencil, the color, while their kids are waiting in the waiting room.
You know, you just gave me an idea about that personalization. I mean, you know, when you get to know your patients and they happen to mention that they like the Yankees, you make a note on that. They show up the next time with some Yankee tickets, or they get those in the mail, you know, little things like that.
Absolutely. If you don't have a little tickler file, or you don't know your customers or your patients, then you're not doing your job. Part of that is the engagement. I now know you, and I know your friend, whatever it is. So we've connected. If you haven't had that connection, you're missing out on an opportunity to, 1, enjoy life, 2, enjoy your patients, and 3, just have some fun. You got to connect. And if it's a Yankee, okay. If it's a Met, If it's, I'm an Eagles fan, if it's okay, and my wife's a Giants fan, we just don't we sit at opposite ends of the room when they play each other, you know, but I know that, you know, it's
Send him
my
a
job.
Yankees and a Mets shirt, you know?
That's right. Exactly. So I think that's probably what you want to hear. I don't know. This is just my pearls of worthless wisdom.
You know something, I think that was the last 10 minutes of our interview was amazing. I think you gave so much great value there. And yeah, I want to thank you again for doing this.
Oh, it's fun. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah. So
that's why I apologize, because I was on that phone with the guy in Sudan for 50 minutes. And we were not only talking about lecturing, but we were talking about business and marketing and how he likes it. I had this little kid, I told a story years ago. It's so nice when you go and you do the kids and everything is fun. This little girl comes in and she's about 3 or 4 years old, and she's in a pink dress, and she has a little pocketbook, and she gets into the chair, and she's very neat and thin, put the napkin on and everything. And my hygienist cleans her, and then she finishes the appointment, and she gives me a hug as I do the exam, and she gets out of the chair. She opens up her pocketbook, she takes out a quarter, and she says to the hygienist, "Here, this is for you," like her mother does when she tips for the nails. So she was tipping my hygienist. So it's just like, you know, that those experiences. And I was telling him, he goes, "That's hysterical." He goes, "But that's why we went into pediatrics, because that's why you could do that." No one does that. You know, it's just one of those things. It can happen in adult practices. It can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be a tip. It's just one of those.
Give a quarter to the hygienist.
Yeah. Here for you, sweetheart. Exactly. It's all part of but the general dentist can certainly, you know, give a hug, you know, within certain limits, you know, today. But, you know,
yeah.
Isn't it nice when you go into the doctor's office and they say, "Hey, Jared, how are you? How's your wife? You know, you have 2 kids. How's Billy? And I can't believe they're going to college already, you know, or whatever. What are they doing for the side?" It doesn't make a difference.
Goes a long way.
Yeah. That goes more than the filling that fell out 10 times. Yeah.
For sure.
Sense?
So one final thing, do you have any a website or anything that you'd like to leave us with?
No, if you want to get a hold of me, you can get me on my personal email at DAF, F as in Frank, KO at AOL. I had a website. I do all my stuff basically is word of mouth, and I you can look at it, but I have the personal contact. I'd rather talk to you.
Absolutely. And you can reach me, agencyfix.com, and, you know, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to refer you to Lee as well. He's amazing, does great work.
I appreciate it. So do you. So,
thank you.
And I can pay for this. This is amazing. So this is what it's about. It's all about the contacts that you make and the value and the information.
Value.
And it's family. That's what it is, even though we're not related. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lee.
All right, have a good one. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, Jared.
Yep, talk to you soon.